गया टॉक? हाँ, चल रहा है?
Hi, Tejas, do you want to start?
Yes, Anita.
Or should we wait for a couple of more minutes?
We can just wait for 2 or 3 minutes. Then...
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, am I audible?
Yeah. We'll just wait for 2 minutes and then we can start, because like I see still people are joining in.
So from Aditya is a Bsms chemistry graduate. He graduated in 2020 from IISER Tirupati with the Dean's Prize for Academic Excellence. He is currently pursuing his master's in management at Essec Bussiness School. He's passionate about making a difference in the pharmaceutical and healthcare industry using technical and managerial tools. So over to you, Aditya.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you, Inventa magazine team, especially Nitish and Tejas, for calling me, for inviting me to present this sort of a workshop or a career advice presentation. So thank you, and thank you all for coming. And depending on the time zone where you are right now, I hope you had a good day or you're having a good day. So yeah, let's start. So can you see the screen, Tejas or Anita? Can anyone confirm?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so yes, as you know, the title of the talk is basically what after Bsms, deep dive into management, and just a couple of email IDs of mine, which you can use to contact me later on if you have any doubts or something. But focusing on the question, what after Bsms, I'm very sure that almost everyone who has been or who is currently studying or who has been in IISER for their flagship 5-year Bsms program has asked this question at least once during the 5 years. So definitely, and it's a question that keeps coming back to us at different points, like after the second year where you have to choose a specialization, at the end of fourth year where you have to choose a thesis advisor, or at the end of fifth year after your thesis presentation, you are like, okay, what after this, right? Or in the beginning, depending on circumstances. So, today I would like to actually present you an overview of different things, or academic opportunities or professional opportunities that you can pursue after your BSMS, and I'm going to also give you some rationale as to why we can do that, particularly as IISER graduates, or as far as I can understand, there are some IISc or an IISER and CEBS graduates as well. So why we, the flagship, science graduates, can do, because of all the skills that we have learned, and I'll try to connect it with how those are the requisite skills to be able to be employable in the future. So yeah, let's start. first of all, my introduction. Who am I? Anita has already introduced me, but let me introduce myself first. I'm going to only talk about three aspects of me. First is education. So I completed my bachelor's and master's in chemistry from IISER Tirupati in 2020, and currently I'm pursuing the master's in management at Essec Business School in France, and I hope to graduate in 2023 or 2024. I joined in August 2021. Application in management domain. Then successful IISER alumni in management who are either working or who have did management degrees either abroad or from India. Then a final conclusion. So first thing, general areas of interest. So after BSMS, there are these different areas such as science. You can either choose to continue in science by doing doctoral programs, which is the most taken up route, the path frequently traveled. Then there is also non-academic work such as R&D jobs, such as in an industry or in a private research think tank, something. And then, or you can choose if you're very creative, you can choose to go to the artsy and the communication side of it, such as science arts or science communication, which is also very booming currently, because we need people who can communicate science effectively to the masses, and not especially in the terms in light of this COVID-19 pandemic situation. It has become very important to communicate science effectively, but also the right science. So you need people who understand science, and you also need people who can communicate it, especially engage with the public and spread awareness about what is right and what is wrong in terms of practices, in terms of scientific principles, etc. R&D jobs, yes, as I said, you can get in either analytics or consulting fields where you have been employed by a life science industry, or pharmaceuticals, or in the more applied science fields such as biology or chemistry. Or if you are in data science and analysis, then you need a very strong quantitative background such as mathematics, advanced math, stats, or even physics. So yeah, there are different R&D jobs also available, which we'll focus on at the end of the talk. So yeah, and then the next domain is management. We'll come back to it a bit later in the talk. Then we have arts and civil services. So arts and civil services actually are a couple of fields where you have to be a bit persistent, because it's very different from what we have learned in our BSMS. Following a methodical way, a structured way of thinking, and where we have layered thinking as well. So it's a bit difficult if you want to actually succeed in arts and civil services, but there are a couple of IISER alumni who have done this. One example is, I have blurred the name because I haven't taken permission from them to share their LinkedIn headline. But yes, this person, she actually did her BSMS physics from IISER Mohali, and currently she is the subdivisional magistrate in the government of Uttar Pradesh, and she was ex-assistant commissioner and assistant registrar as well. So it's definitely possible to be successful in arts and the civil services, provided you are patient and persistent and are consistently putting hard work. In the final area, it's policy making. There are a couple of people who are already successful in science, who are actually graduates of who are graduates, such as this person. He's a current program officer at Department of Science and Tech in Bangalore, and he focuses on science and technological innovation diplomacy. And he was a graduate of physics from IISER Pune 2014 batch. So yeah, from IISER you can actually go on to various pursuits and be successful at it, because the skills part, we'll come back to it later, but definitely because of the transferable skills that we learn over the course of our 5 years. So yeah, it's very interesting to actually see it. It was very interesting for me to actually find out all these profiles, who are very diverse, as diverse as the community of IISER itself is. So yeah. Then the classical and modern domains in management. Any business will have these 6 fundamental aspects, which are more of classical, such as there is no order of importance, but yes, human resources, finance and accounting, sales and marketing, research and development, and operations. And based on specific skill sets on the or the knowledge or the experience that you have in different fields, there are new modern domains or new subdomains, you can call them, which have come up in each of these individual 6, or as a mixture of any of these 2 or 3 domains, to give rise to different subdomains, such as innovation management, product management, program or project management, strategic management, IT and data, and risk and change management. So product management, one example if I have to take, it's basically combining different aspects of product design. You have to be constant touch with the sales and marketing division, the research and development division, and the operations division. Plus, also you have to understand how your product is priced, your product is actually treated in the market, and the pricing of the product, the cost involved in developing the product, and the customer experience after they buy the product or service, and what is their feedback, and how do you incorporate back into your product design in order to give better value to customers and your product, and thus the whole company as such. So product management involves a lot of cross disciplinarity, from finance and accounting, sales and marketing, research and development, and bit of operations, because you have to strategically put up your product or service such that you improve your sales and sales of your product, and also supply the consumers needs on time. And strategic management here is basically the analysis of the business strategy and communication of business strategy and development of business strategy for a company, which spans across all these 6 domains, in HR, finance, sales and marketing, accounting, R&D, and operations, where communication or development of a strategy is very important for a business in order to fulfill its core values, in order to fulfill its core function. So a particular strategy is always needed. It's just like, how do you particularly plan, let's say if you are focusing on one particular project in your MS thesis or during your MS thesis, the plan that you have in order to execute the final project, and the different steps of it, and what happens if one of the step goes wrong, the troubleshooting aspects, and the learning outcomes, and the final outcome of the project. Formulating this plan in an algorithmic way, or in a very systematic and structured way, with fail-proof methods, that is basically a strategic management. And coming with respect to IT and data, as we all know, digital technological tools, big data analytics, etc., they are actually taking up a lot of importance right now, rightly so. So in order to actually effectively manage the tools that we have taken, or effectively employ these tools in order to do good for our own company, and in order to do good for our stakeholders, basically the employees, the company executives, the consumers, the shareholders, etc. So you have this something called as IT and data management. So Are there any doubts at this point? I can take up a couple of questions if you have. Sorry, hello?
Guys, feel free to raise your hand or drop your
Yeah.
question in the chat box.
Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself, turn on your video and ask, because this is not a classical lecture at IISER, and I really want to interact with you and talk to you more about all this. It's not really like a lecture based thing. All right. If you don't have questions, then I think we'll move on to the next topic, which is basically the degree that I'm doing. That is the Master's in Management.
Aditya, there's a question in chat
Sorry.
box.
Okay, sorry, I didn't see.
Yeah,
Just
sure.
a minute.
I'll just read out for you.
Yeah, thank you
Yes,
so much.
please
Yeah.
explain the risk. Explain risk or change management.
Okay. Just a minute. I'll go. All right. Okay. So, while doing a business, there are a lot of risks involved, particularly with respect to financial risk, with respect to risk of losing your customers, risk of losing your employees, risk of redeveloping the whole business plan, and risk with respect to the sustainability aspects of it. So to actually envelop all these and to basically give a quantitative aspect or a number, or better predict what are the risks that we have, and what will be the impact of these risks on the business, on the stakeholders, or on the business, the whole on the whole value chain of business. And especially with respect to, if I have to take an example, uh, if you knew that during the COVID crisis, a lot of supermarkets and their stores, the shelves were emptying every day, and people were, the companies were actually were very, how do I say this? I'm sorry. So the companies were actually struggling to fill the supermarket shelves and everything with the stocks because the supply chains were hit. And this kind of impact was not predicted when COVID was still in its beginning, like let's say November 2019 or December 2019. This kind of impact nobody had predicted. It was a very big risk for the overall, retail and consumer goods industry and other industries as well. Nobody had predicted this, and it caused a significant loss for companies and everyone worldwide, especially this disruption of stocks in supermarket shelves. And that is just one aspect. And so what is happening in the industry is people are actually looking at these natural or climate disasters which may happen in the future, and they are evaluating the risk that will have, or a culmination of all these natural disasters, loss, a lack of energy, a lack of fuels in the future, and etc., other important factors which affect the global market, which affect the global trade. And they're actually trying to put a quantitative aspect to it, and then see how the numbers will impact and act accordingly. That is the risk management. Change management is also how you actually incorporate these and better adapt yourself, or better adapt the business plan, the business model, the company, in order to do better or mitigate the impact. And I hope that answers your question.
I guess there are a few more questions.
Okay.
So, what are the areas of art one can go in after BSMS?
Okay. So art, yes. So after BSMS, as I mentioned in the scientific art or science communication and science arts. Art, as we know that India being a very cultural and rich, has a very rich history of using different art forms to depict so many things. So one thing is you can use your creativity to communicate science with respect to arts, and with respect uh, to the masses, effectively using arts, and also the other subject in itself as arts, which has lots of subjects such as philosophy or psychology, etc., behavior, etc. All these people actually tend to go in these fields. You have got history, etc., all these different subjects that make up the arts side of the degree, which you can take up in order to gain a good understanding of these aspects before you step into civil services. Or you can how do I say, you can also get into law, basically do a law degree after BSMS and get into intellectual property rights, or other patent rights, because all these are also very important right now. And especially with respect to arts, I think arts as a subject, you can take up a couple of courses in philosophy, psychology, human behavior, all these different subjects that make up arts, and gain a good stronghold in order to enter civil services. That is one aspect. And if you talk about art in general, then you can use the different ways in which art or culture is depicted, and use it as a creative tool in order to communicate science effectively and write science effectively. I
Okay,
hope that
another
answers your
question.
question.
Another question is also, can you please elaborate on innovation management and policy making?
Policy making. Okay, I'll
It
start with
seems
the
to
policy
have
making.
like hearing about policy making for the first time. So,
Yes.
can you just elaborate on both innovation
Yes.
management as well as policy making?
Definitely. Okay. So policy making, as you see here, so when at times when you see that the R&D spending by the government of India on science and scientific projects and in different strategic areas are very less, because we all cribbed about it one way or the in one way or the other during our time at IISER. But when you soon realize that people who have not got a science background, they are in the charge of communicating your budget, or actually deciding how much do you get, or etc. But there is still a lot of what do you say, quantitative analysis going on when they actually allocate the budget. Definitely not denying that, it's very important. But if you as a person has scientific background, in we are a bit of a generalist, but also you have specialized in particular domain, and then you rank high up the you go high up the government ladder, and then you actually contribute to policy making, where you determine, okay, which of the projects are something which we have to strategize in the national interest, or in the in terms of interest of the public, or in terms of strategic area for defense, etc. That is one aspect of policy making. The other aspect is how do you actually use, like as example, this person STI diplomacy. So what he does, as far as I understood, is when two countries talk about diplomatic aspects on or areas of cooperation in science and technological innovations. So how do you actually find out that that country is doing good, and which areas of science and technology which we as a country can gain interest from that part, or how as we as a country, what is the important innovation or the science and tech areas that we are very good at, which we can help them. So all these diplomatic channels they do a very good thorough analysis of the interests of different countries and the strengths and weaknesses of different countries in with respect to science and technological innovations, and use that during their diplomatic communication in order to gain benefits for their individual countries, and as also diplomacy as a means for strengthening cooperation between two countries or two geographical areas. That is also possible with respect to science. But if you're a person who understands science and technological factors, then it becomes very easy for you to communicate effectively to the government, to the higher authorities, or to the other party as well. So that is other aspect of policy making. But yes, there are different areas in policy making also, which you have to give a lot of thought of, and then you can focus on which part of the policy making do you want to go to. I hope that's clear. And just a general disclaimer, I did a good amount of research on the different areas that we can pursue after BSMS, but I can still be wrong, and there is a lot more that I don't know, and there is still a lot more to explore. So even after this, I think the purpose of this talk is actually not answer your questions. It's just to provoke you to ask more questions, and in the right way and in the right field, so that you end up at choosing some area or a particular area that you are interested in, that you want to do for the next 10-15 years. So it's actually to make you ask more questions in the right direction in order to move to the next big thing in your career. So the next thing is innovation management. That is very closely related to what I will be specializing in the future from Essec. So innovation management is basically it has a lot of understanding on, let's say, if you take the pharma and the healthcare industry, it's about, let's say, because we have so many therapeutic techniques right now, such as stem cell therapy, gene therapy, etc. So there are a lot of costs and expenses involved for the company to actually bring this to patients, and to develop it as a marketable solution. And then there is the other aspect of it, that is seeing the patient's side of it, how affordable the therapy is and how practical the therapy will be. But this particular innovation, the stem cell therapy, induced pluripotent stem cell therapy, or etc., different stem cell therapy and the gene therapies, marketed as therapeutic techniques, how this technique can be used by the company, or can be used for the patients in order to develop or in order to generate more value. So it involves a lot of intellectual property rights, understanding the technique itself, understanding patients' spending in healthcare, understanding the company's cost and expenses sheet, and then understanding the R&D costs, understanding different aspects of this innovation in order to reach the fundamental, the targeted consumer, and even after that, how is the innovation actually performing? Is it being accepted by the public? Is it being performing well, etc. So this is one aspect of innovation management. The other aspect is companies. We all say that innovation is required to keep ourselves on toes, to adapt to the rapidly changing world. So especially with respect to COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of changes have happened in terms of the way people do business and management. So how companies can keep innovating in these six major domains, either bringing a different sales channel or different marketing techniques or different R&D channels, basically, like how as far as I think all of us know, before, for a drug to be developed, undergone clinical trials and become a viable tablet or a drug in the market, would used to take 10 to 12 years on an average, and took up like billions of dollars. But with the COVID-19, the repurposing mechanism, or reutilizing the ones which we have already developed for a different use, that aspects have significantly cut down the time taken to bring vaccines or anti-COVID pills in the market, and also significantly have reduced the cost involved in development. So this was actually an innovation, and companies or businesses have to continuously innovate with respect to human resources, in the sense like employees, how employee and organization behavior affects the performance of companies, affects the performance of teams, how different financial models can be incorporated to to do good investing activities, etc. All these, the small innovations which help company perform better and or adapt better, are all part of the innovation management. And basically your job would be to manage, to develop innovations, to see how innovations can be incorporated in these domains, and how what will be the impact of these innovations for the company, for the stakeholders, which may involve your employees, the executives, the consumers, and key opinion leaders, and in terms, and the final ones are shareholders. So a culmination of all these, that's why they are very modern domains, because it involves a lot of everything, and that itself is innovation management. And I think that's I hope I could answer that. Any more questions? Feel free to unmute yourself and ask.
I guess Tanveer has raised his hand.
Yeah, sure.
You can ask. Go ahead. Okay, fine. So there is another question in chat box.
Okay.
Can we do entrepreneurship after IISER, and is MBA necessary for it?
Good question. Something that I would have expected at the end of the session, but yeah, okay. So entrepreneurship is a topic, is a very wide field, which can be pursued anytime of your life. And I think the requisite skills which you need for entrepreneurship are not necessarily always provided by an MBA. And you can definitely do, a short answer is definitely yes, you can do entrepreneurship after your Bsms, provided you have a very good idea in your mind, and you are ready to put in the efforts to keep refining that idea, keep refining the business plan, business model, and actually go from the ideation to execution with respect to different iterations of the same process, and send it to beta testing, and then start a clean model, etc. All these resources are mostly available on the internet, and some of it is gained by experience. So right from ideation to execution to scaling up, it's all possible after you do your PSMS. But in order to cut short the time that you take, and to point in a right and to start thinking in the right direction, a management degree is, I feel necessary. Or you can actually collaborate with someone, or as a co-founder or something, who has significant experience in the management domain. So that is what most of the science-based startups are doing, because one person cannot know it all. So that's why harness the power of collaboration, and teamwork or having a good co-founder or solid co-founder is very important for your business as well. So yes, short answer is yes. Long answer, maybe it's a very big answer, and it's related to a lot of aspects. If and requires a deeper analysis of the startup ecosystem, of the ideas that you have in mind. Let's say if honestly, if I had started a successful, if I had started a tea shop after completing my BSMS degree and successfully scaled it up every single day, in the sense like I was open every single day, I was selling tea, etc., and I was doing it for a good amount of time. I am still an entrepreneur. Okay, so that's definitely possible. But matter of fact is, what is your idea? What what big thing it can solve, or what is the concept behind it, what are the skills that you need in order to succeed. So all this requires a great deal of thinking, not just on paper but also with different resources involved. And yeah, it's definitely possible.
So there are two more questions, I think,
Yeah.
from like YouTube Live. So
Yeah.
one is it worth it to pursue civil services after BSMS course from IISER because you are postgraduate and you are overqualified for it? And other one is, can you throw some light on consulting?
Okay, first question, is it worth it to do civil services after BSMS? I don't think there is any age. I don't think age should be a factor, or age should be a priority when you are actually thinking of learning something new or doing something which you are really interested in. So if you are really interested in going for civil services after you do your BSMS, I think you should go for it. It's definitely worth it, because if you have the drive to positively impact people in any job that you have as a civil service representative or civil service person, then definitely you should go for it. So second question was consulting. Yeah, so the strategic management which I was talking about in the consulting. So basically, as consultants, they are either in-house consultants who do strategic analysis in all these six domains, in these different six domains. They help in defining the strategy, developing the strategy, and also see in effective implementation of the strategy they develop in these six axes of a business. And in-house consultants do this only for that particular business in which they are employed, while external consulting firms, such as you have big four, Deloitte, EY, PwC, etc., and then you have McKinsey, Bain, BCG, etc. All these different consultants, they do consulting. Or even for example TCS, our Indian powerhouse, so they do consulting for different companies or different clients as external consultants. And they also develop this, but they do it for the businesses which whose in-house consultants are doing other very critical work for them. So consulting is definitely possible, and is a very hotshot field right now. So I mean, it's a very vast field, and it revolves around communicate and in revolves around defining, developing, implementing strategies, successful strategies for a business in the six classical axes of a business. So yes, that is basically consulting is what about.
So another question is, what are the major fields after completing BSMS physics?
Okay. Um, that's a good question. But as I said, if you follow this general algorithm here, um, instead of looking at what you can do after BSMS, I think the important question we should ask is, with the skill set that I have right now, where can I use the skill set in order to do something good, or do something productive, or do something effective. So and that involves actually looking up what you are interested in. Do you want to continue in academics? Yes or no? And do you want to actually shift into an private firm for doing a job? Are you up for a professional job in where you actually use your skill sets? Yes or no? All these questions that you have to answer, in a sequential way, in order to come down to the industry, or to the field that you want to continue in. Because after BSMS physics, most of them they actually opt for doctoral programs. And most of them, if they have very good quantitative background and have taken advanced courses, like let's say it may be statistical mechanics, nonlinear dynamics, other thermodynamics. All these courses will have like lots of or even in quantum regime. So all these will require a strong mathematical background. So this particular aspect, or the ability to approach a particular problem mathematically, and find out different solutions, or find out different ways to attack the problem to find the solution. So this approach, this structured approach, this methodical approach of the scientific principle, that you can apply in risk management, or in change management, or you can apply in consulting. You can apply in different fields where you need data analytics, let's say, where you need a lot of math background, and also this rigor with respect to which you have solved the problem. There are a couple of examples which I'll give at the near the end of the talk, where we can see people who did their BSMS physics, a couple of them, what are they doing. And another suggestion that I would do is, if you're actually, but first do a thorough check, where do you want to actually go up after BSMS physics, whether do you want to continue in science, or whether do you want to shift fields. Find out your interests. And literally, like, there are hundreds of alum on LinkedIn who may have done BSMS physics but are doing different things right now. Talk to them about what they do in their daily life. How does their day in their work look like, and what are the things that they went through when they were transitioning, when they were actually taking up the change. And what are the different tools and utilities, or the techniques that they think are necessary for you to do well in that job, etc. So talk more to people. You'll definitely find someone whose work you like, and then you will start improvising on your career plan, and then keep working on it. So yeah, I hope that was clear. And and I think I should move on to the next slide.
Yeah, sure. Like,
Can we
other questions like later on?
Yeah, can we just hold them for a bit, and I'll take up the questions after 4 or 5 slides. I'm sure there will be more questions, but yes, okay. So a bit about my degree, Masters in Management. So imagine the corporate ladder. Imagine that there is a ladder, which is corporate ladder, and there are the rungs of these ladder indicate the level or level of experience that you have, the time you have spent in the company, the knowledge that you have, the experience that you have. And what do these different degrees do? The Masters in Management degree will equip you, requisite skills, experience, understanding of the field that is particularly given by the MIM. And if you already have significant work experience in the corporate culture, but if you want to shift gears, basically to shift, go to a different job, different or a higher role, then that is your MBA, significantly higher above the MBA, where you have quite a lot of experience and quite a lot of expertise in the field, in the structure, in the way people do business in that particular field, then that constitutes an MBA. So executive MBA. So all these degrees, they equip you with the knowledge, with the experience, with the expertise with respect to the different stages of a corporate ladder to succeed at different stages or different rungs of a corporate ladder. They also require certain work experience from your side. So as I mentioned, for a fresher, just willing to enter, just entering the corporate ladder, 0 to 2 years of work experience is required. Whereas for an MBA, significantly higher, that is 4 to 6 years of work experience is required to in order to apply to an MBA program. And in order to apply to an MBA program in foreign universities, then the executive MBA requires you to have like 8 to 10 plus years of work experience in order to get that degree and climb high up the ladder. Again, as important as it is, the salary, as you may all know, it linearly increases from MIM to MBA, executive MBA. So, having said this, what are the mandatory application requirements? One is, you all know, the GRE or GMAT score. The second is the essays and motivation letter. So your bachelor's degree transcripts, minimum 3 years of bachelor's degree is required, 1 page CV, and 2 letters of recommendation. So this constitutes your application file for the admissions committee. And the important note is that they are all compensatory in nature. So can anyone tell me what does it mean? Okay, so being compensatory, it means that if you, let's say, if you have a decent, GRE GMAT score, let's say out of 340 you have scored 320 or say 320 or something, which is actually a great score, but short of the average for Harvard or let's say Duke or HEC or Essec, but your bachelor's degree or your bachelor's degree in your bachelor's degree you have had very stellar grades, and your CV is absolutely foolproof, and it's really good and it's very accurate and crisp. Your essays reflect your strong ability to synthesize your views and present them, and your motivation letter is very strong. So all these other factors, they compensate for the lack of the average GRE score, or if there is a dip in any of these 5 factors, the other 4 factors can make up for it, can compensate for the dip in the other 5th factor. So that is what I mean by compensatory. So I hope it's clear. Next part, what goes on in an essay. So essay is basically very how do you so essay are a way to express your experiences. Either they can be your challenges and the learning outcomes that you have had from these experiences, or these experiences can be your achievements, something which you're proud of, or these experiences can also be about your goals that you have, the short term or the long term goals that you have, and how do you actually aim to achieve your goals. How does the school or the program comes into play? How does your background, your challenges, or your skill set that you have already gained till now will come into play in the goal, in the short term or the long term goals part. And that is why the basis of all your essays will be your experiences, and you're going to be the protagonist of your story. So you can tell your story much better than anyone else. So it's basically to to improve your chances of convincing the admissions committee that yes, you're the right fit for the program, and to tell them about your motivation to join the program. To craft your motivation letter. So I'm going just to give you a basic structure to craft your motivation letter. One is, first paragraph is very important because they typically get thousands of applications, so you have to be very crisp, but also very, you should grab their attention so that they want to read the rest of it, and make sure to personalize it as far as possible. So that was my first paragraph. Then the second paragraph, it's basically about the previous academic journey, the extracurricular activities. So here you have to focus on what you learned till that point in your life. What have you learned? What have you become? In order to actually answer the question of why, in order to answer the questions of why or how did you actually come through to the MIM. So that will be the focus of your third paragraph here. That is, when did I realize that MIM was the right choice, and why that particular school. So these three, form the meat of the motivation letter. I'll give you some time to go through it. Okay, so next is the fourth paragraph, which actually has short-term and long-term goals, and how the school fits in your long-term and short-term goals, and how the ecosystem in the school and how the opportunities provided by the school will help you complete your professional and also personal career goals that you have. And fifth one is the concluding statement for the motivation letter. All right. Okay. So moving on to the next part, that is how to craft your CV. Basically, all the business schools prefer a very crisp one-page CV where you have different sections. Particularly, one is your education section, very important. Then you have your work experience section, then the extracurricular activities, and the fourth one is the practical skills. Basically your proficiency in different skills and languages. For us, it will have a different, it may have additional section called research publications as well. So yeah, in the first section, in the education, sorry, let me use the pointer. In the education section, so you have to indicate only one or two, one is the current education and the previous education, that's all. And the bullet point should be very crisp and should be the highlights of what you learned or what you gained from the education from your previous education, and very important factors for you. Yeah, and the next is the work experience. So each of the CV should be tailored to the application that you're putting in. So and they should start from the latest first. So I worked as an operations management intern, and all these are actually the work that I did as part of my internship. Then what I did as an MS thesis project student, where did I do, what did I do, and how did I use tools and techniques to actually further help further my MS thesis. Then what work did I do as a research assistant in the same lab, etc. So these are the most important work experience factors for me. Then you have extracurricular activities. So currently I'm a member of the Essec Life Sciences Association in the corporate division, where I focus on developing new business relations with different life science companies, and keep in touch with the existing ones, organize networking dinners, after works, etc., to facilitate networking sessions. Then the second one is I was the co-founder and student coordinator of Unnati, the social outreach arm of IISER Tirupati, then similarly, etc. Then the practical skills, the languages section, and the software, and the research publication section. So that's basically a snapshot of your life till now, which you have to present in one page, so that it is very crisp and easy to read by the admissions committee. So so before we go to my journey, do we have any doubts here, Tejas? And again, I really encourage you to actually unmute yourself and ask.
Go ahead, Siddharth. You can unmute and I guess I'll take questions.
Okay, cool.
There are a few in chat box. So,
Okay.
what do you suggest to those students who have interest in entrepreneurship? What can they do during their BSMS? How to find correct way at this stage to grow into this field?
Okay, that's a very good question. So, as mandated by the Innovation Council by the MHRD, or the Ministry of Education, as it is called now, you have these Institute Innovation Cell, the Entrepreneurship Cell. If your institute doesn't have one, I'm pretty sure it has one. So get in touch with its founders, get in touch with the resources that the school provides you with respect to the different events, different opportunities that come up as part of the IIC Institute Innovation Council, and also keep attending the different talks that they organize, because those are also very important with respect to actually understanding the startup ecosystem in India, and how do you actually fit in this ecosystem, and then do attend or subscribe to the mailing list of these incubators, especially the Big Four Venture Center in Pune, and there is CCMBs, no, sorry, C camps in STEM in Bangalore, which also is one of the largest hubs for startup incubation, especially with respect to science and applied science fields. So keep abreast of what are all the things that are happening in the science startups, in the scientific entrepreneurship domain. Reach out to founders, reach out to co-founders, reach out to these incubators, expressing your interest in joining them, or expressing your interest in knowing more about what they have got to say. Set up a meeting maybe, or go to their ventures, and actually genuinely show the curiosity to learn more about their story, their experience. And I think that will work wonders for you, because they can also guide you on different skills that you have, different skills that you must have, and their journey, their struggles that they went through in the initial stages, so that how did they actually conceive the product or service, and how did they actually secure the funding, how did they get funded by that incubator, etc., etc. All these things are very important for someone who wants to go into the entrepreneurship field, because these are all the very practical sides of it. The other aspect is how did they come up with their idea, the innovation part, the ideation part, and how important it is to build a good team with like-minded or with a shared vision. So yes, I would say talk to more people who have done this, and start actually talking to them about the skills that they have, because it's much better to learn from a person who has been there and done that, and is also doing currently. So I think that is one thing that you should do. The single most important thing that I feel is focus on the Institute Innovation Cell, attend the talks that they organize, and the next to keep yourself updated about the support that you will get, or the different startups that are being founded, or different services that you may have. Then the second thing is subscribe to these mailing lists of incubators, and the third thing is talk to people who have done this in the area or in the field that you want to get into. And then yeah, I think that's it.
Hello,
Hello.
I'm Siddhant, and I have a question for you. Like, when you hello, am I
Hello.
audible?
Yeah, 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 you are audible. Sorry, I didn't get your name.
Siddhant.
Siddhant. Okay, hi Siddhant.
Yeah. So my question is that when did you get the motivation that you have to do MIM and from foreign? And you mentioned in your CV that you have skills like Tally, ERP, Adobe, Gaussian, and French language like that. So
Yeah.
did you plan this from the beginning in while you were studying or in during your placement or you were in the job?
Okay, very good question. So that is what I'm actually. Oh, sorry. No, okay. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, how to craft a CV, my journey. Okay, yes. So that is what I was actually going to talk about in my journey because so I knew for a fact that I was interested. So my career goals, my long-term goal was or is actually to contribute to the pharmaceutical industry or the healthcare industry using a mix of both technical and the managerial skills. Because early on, I started in our family business, and as I grew up, so I got a flair for both business management and science, and these two are the pillars on which I'm currently standing or my foundation is built on. So once I realized that okay, in order to actually succeed, because science is pretty hard, so I have to first gain a good amount of understanding, a good amount of experience and the skills, etc. in science to understand the basic aspects or the basic or the strong critical aspects of what happens in a pharmaceutical industry or in a chemical or life sciences industry in general. And that's why I chose to specialize in chemistry, having finished my masters. And I have quite a bit of experience in the in research. So after that I felt that okay, this is the time I have to actually shift to management, to gain a good comprehensive or overview about management aspects so that I can contribute better in a pharmaceutical industry in a you know in a in to be the bridge between the R&D and the executive divisions. So that's when I realized that after MS from IISER, I have to get into management. And yes, so one thing is, almost all of us would have had programming classes, or very good experience with Excel with during our time at IISER. So that is definitely going to be there for I think almost everyone. Plus the other skills that you mentioned, Tally, that is definitely coming from my experience with my family business. So where I worked extensively in inventory management, in stock management, inventory management, accounting, financing, a bit of finances, then most of operations, and where I work with Tally. So that's why Tally is mentioned there. And once I realized that I have to do my MS, or Masters in Management, I when I started searching for schools, Essec and HAC were the first two that came into my mind, because particularly I chose Essec because of the specialization that it has with respect to innovation in healthcare, of which I am a part of right now, the chair basically, chair of innovation in healthcare. So it also depends on the specializations that you want to do later on. And the masters in management was started by the French schools, French business school, the Trois Parisian, which are HSA, ESSEC, and ESCP. So my choice was ESSEC because of the specialization, the curriculum that they offer. And yeah, I mean, after realizing that I got an admission to a French school, and I also wanted to learn a different language, so I started learning French. And yeah, that's how I learned French, basically. I hope it answered your question, Siddhant.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem. Yeah. So if there are no more questions, we'll start. I'll start presenting
Yeah,
to you.
there are a few. So,
Okay.
okay, just a sec. Someone raised their hand. Okay. So, other question that I see here is, can you please tell about procedure to apply to ESS Business School, and did they provide you any scholarship? Because living
Yeah.
cost is quite
Yeah.
high in a country like France.
Yeah, so I'll be focusing on the application part right now and the financing aspects of it, and I'll present an overview of my school in a couple of slides. So I'll just request you to kindly wait for a couple of slides, and that answer will be answered. Basically, that question will be answered. So yes.
So, other question is doing a PhD only related to academics? Can you pursue a career in research like in labs or private firms after PhD or postdoc?
Okay, that's a very good question. Again, yes, you definitely can, because a lot of the experienced life science consultants in these big firms such as McKinsey, etc., etc., they are all they all have an advanced degree in sciences, basically a PhD in sciences, and they do a couple of years of postdoc, and then they shift to the consulting or the different industries post PhD and post postdoc. Also, it's possible. See, the shift from science to a different discipline is possible at any stage. It's just that you have to carefully see the risks that are involved, carefully plan what your interests are, why do you want to do it, and talk to more people about it and find out how you can do, based on the experiences of past people who have done it. And it's just a very meticulous journey, I would say, and carefully evaluated journey, so that you do well at whatever you're doing. So shifting from right after masters is possible, after PhD is possible, after postdoc is also possible.
So down the line, there is another same question. After BSMS, can we pursue research job, or we have to do a PhD when PhD, then we can pursue?
After BSMS, like at least in 2020, when I was doing my final year thesis, I had heard of a placement cell in IISER Kolkata, especially with respect to Department of Chemistry, where three or four students from the chemistry division, they were placed in Dr. Reddy's in their R&D division, or I think in the quality assurance division or R&D division, as interns, and post 6 months of training or something, they were being absorbed as full time. So definitely it is possible. Experiences from our batch, we have like I have batchmates who have after their BSMS in physics and BSMS in physics and math, they actually worked and they are working in a startup providing different quantitative solution. uh, it's called wait hmm, six energy, I think. uh, yeah, I think so. So as a data analyst, basically algorithm designing, etc., etc., in this startup. And yes, they're working right after their BSMS. So definitely it is possible. Either you come from physics or math, you have a very strong quant skill, so you can actually apply to data analysts or a different set of jobs. If you're coming from bio or chemistry, biotech, biopharma, or particularly pharma R&D, that is also possible. You just don't have to do you don't have to do only like a PhD or join as a project associate in one of these labs as such in order to be able to do a job. But the industry is also very open to hiring nowadays. So definitely you can do that.
So there is an interesting question. I guess you will talk about this down the line, but I'll
Yeah.
just mention it out. I
Yeah.
have got a call from IIM, so I'm a bit confused between MBA in India versus MIM abroad. Could you
Okay.
guide me more on this comparison?
Okay. Interesting again. That's very good though. So I would like to take a couple of moments to actually tell you the differences basically. So MBA, whatever we are getting here from IIMs, that is a postgraduate diploma in management. That is not technically an MBA, but is marketed as an MBA in India. But the postgraduate diploma PGDM program in IIMs is similar to the, I mean, at least the degree level is similar to the MIMs or the Master of Science and Management programs abroad. Having cleared the titles or the degree titles aside, so one thing that you have to focus the most on is where do you want to work after your graduation. Do you want to work in India after graduation? Then choose IIMs over any other foreign schools blindfoldedly. Okay. The next thing, if you want to work, if you want to actually be a part of the experience abroad, the exposure to different work cultures, different languages, different cultures of your team, and the collaborative spirit, the the just the learning experience, the pedagogical experience, and the experience of living in a different country other than India, and all these other factors which culminate you to which motivate you or which strike a lot of interest or strike a lot of curiosity in you. Then, and also if you plan to work here after graduation for 3-4 years, then definitely choose a B school abroad than an IIM. But again, not just any B school abroad. You have to make sure that to ensure professional success, to make sure that you apply to top five, top six, or top 10 in each individual country. But definitely, it's based on how you make the most out of it. I That was a very short version of the answer. If you still have more doubts, feel free to email me or feel free to just drop a message on LinkedIn. I'll be very happy to assist you.
Yeah, I guess that
Um,
in the chat box,
Sorry.
so you can just
Sorry.
continue. I guess. You can just continue. I guess like we are done with
Okay.
questions so
Awesome.
far.
So yeah, so building on the question that just asked, why not why foreign B schools and why not IIM? So what was my motivation to actually go? So we'll see that in my journey based on the challenges and the learning outcome that I had. Challenges, first one, I did not have any trusted information sources about, or sources where I can go about looking for schools and, finding out what I want to do in management, what I should be able to look at, where I should be looking at, all the different questions like why, where, when, how, what, etc. So I did not have any trusted information sources. Then, of course, because our admissions process are very different, I did not know about how the admissions were conducted, what is the application process, etc. As you guys are asking now. The third thing is convincing myself why not IIMs. Again, I did a self evaluation, a bit of self introspection where I asked myself, do I want to work in India after a couple of years, and do I actually want to go through the rigorous experience of studying in an Indian institute again, or do I want to actually go start live in a different country, experience the culture, experience the different pedagogical methods, experience networkings, building networks, building contacts, experienced learning a new language, etc. So all these factors made me convinced that okay, I should apply to a foreign B school. Imposter syndrome, of course, like it's I still get it, and it's we I mean I admit that I still feel I feel a lot of imposter syndrome even when I'm here, because it's just very hard not to accept that, because we have been trained to think in a certain way in basically throughout our life till now. And once your thoughts are getting challenged here, you're exposed to a different way of thinking, different people, etc. So it just becomes very difficult. And yes, so imposter syndrome. And I did not have theoretical foundation of management discipline. Whatever I learned over the years of my working, over the years of assisting my father in family businesses, was not enough, I would say. But is like I did not have the theoretical overview about the different management domains that we just saw right now. So I was very afraid of applying to these schools. Then also the final aspect is the financing aspect, because definitely it's going to be an expensive affair. Learning outcomes. So when you don't have any information source about schools or management, what you do, you just contact the school's admission manager. They are very helpful. They go out of the way to help you in deciding their school or which other school. They are very happy to schedule interviews, sessions with you where they talk to you about your doubts, what are your apprehensions about joining the schools, etc. Then about the information sources, etc. You can go through the brochure. Like I went through Essex and ESCPs and other schools brochures like 10 times, 10 times, 15 times the course curriculum, then the Financial Times rankings, etc. All these things, like I have been through quite a lot of times, and that's why I could gain a very good overview of where these schools stand, why I should go to this school, why I should not go to that school, etc. So also another thing is know what are your short-term and long-term goals, decide on them, and you have to prioritize either IIMs or foreign B schools depending on your long-term goal, and of course your short-term goal, and what you want to experience as a person. Financing aspects, because of that, I did a very extensive research on different scholarships that we have, on the different financing modes that we have. Then I realized that prior knowledge about management is definitely not mandatory in order to apply to these master's programs, especially abroad. But in IIMs, a very unfair advantage is actually given to people who have work experience beforehand than freshers who are just graduated. But in terms of foreign B schools, they don't. They actually welcome diversity. They welcome freshers who are coming from different academic backgrounds. Like for example, uh, I have arts and history students in management. I have language students who are my batchmates in management. We have people who have done economics, commerce, engineering, then food science, then etc. etc. Like a lot of different degrees who have come now to Essec to pursue management. And one thing is network. I'll be talking more about that in the next slide. But effectively, like talk to more people, genuinely show an interest in what they're doing, to know more about you, to refine your vision, to refine your career goals, to refine your plans and projects, etc. It is very important. Financing options, a very quick snapshot of what I learned over the years. One is there are three different categories. One is supported scholarships, such as based on different criteria, such as excellence, diversity, women in business. Then there are government supported, such as IFL, Charpak, Legrand UGAM scholarships. And also, it is very good thing if you keep checking the different government websites, like at least the like let's say if you're applying to an Italian or a French B school, so you would want to check the Indo-France government website, the diplomatic website, or Indo-Italy diplomatic website, because there are a lot of these intergovernmental scholarships which are being given out to students based on strategic cooperation between these two countries. So yeah, and external agencies such as this foundation, Narottam Seksaria, and then there are a couple of others foundations which provide loans at very low interest rates or zero interest rates, or just completely like a scholarship itself. And student loans, secured or unsecured, I completely understand because I'm a part of the same boat that you are in. The interest rates are are generally bit higher in the Indian lending system compared to France or the other European countries. So there are these Indian banks such as SBI or Axis, and then there is HDFC, Credila, etc., which give out unsecured and secured. Unsecured is basically without collateral. Secured is with respect to collateral, education loans. But if you're going abroad, I think there is some interest concession as well. So you have to actually do a lot of research on which bank to go to, and then start the process as early as possible. Give yourself like 4 or 5 months of time before you actually will need the money. So start the process as early as possible in order to get the disbursement on time, especially with respect to Indian banks. Then there are international collateral-free lenders such as Empire Financing, Prodigy. Then there is Incred, etc., which do give you unsecured loans. But again, the trade-off is they charge a bit higher interest. But Prodigy is a good option. And there is this very innovative company here, which was founded by an HEC graduate. Basically, Smarto, it acts as a third-party mediator between you and the banks and the insurance companies. So whereas Smarto will be your guarantor, and you'll get a loan from the French banks. And some of the times, what happens, the school itself, such as ESEP, in ESEP, the school facilitates student bank loans from their banking partners such as BNP Paribas or Societe Generale. So yes, that is also possible. On-campus opportunities are very rare, but yes, such as research assistantships or teaching assistantships. Like even if you go into doctoral program, these will be there, but they are very less paying. But of course, you have a lot of opportunities to learn and grow there. And during your studies, you can do internships or you can do apprenticeships like a work-study contract. Especially in Germany, there is this working student program which is called apprenticeship in France. So where you study for 3 days or 4 days, and you work in the company. No, you work in the company for 3 or 4 days, and you study for 1 or 2 days of the week, or depending on your schedule and the understanding between the company, school, and you. So you can do this work study program. But yes, again, as I said, it's always good. Thoroughly check the school's website for country-wide scholarships. Thoroughly check the different foundations websites and different diplomatic channels for country-wise scholarships. Providing a very quick overview of the school that I'm studying in, Essec Business School. This is the Surgery campus here. To your right is the Singapore campus. This is also the Surgery campus for Essec. One is in Surgery France, the main campus. The second one, the executive campus, is in Singapore. And the third campus, recent one, is in Rabat in Morocco. It was ranked 6th best and it's I think 5th best currently by Financial Times 2021. It's the 6th best European B school, and the MIM program of Essec was ranked 3rd best by Financial Times 2020, and it's been constantly in top 10 for in the Europe, like globally top 10 MIM by Financial Times. It's currently I think 6th best. as per the latest ranking, and it has a very strong network of 60,000 plus alumni in with wide range of careers, either in science, it's in policy making, in politics, as different CEOs of different very big multinationals, etc. And it has very strong partnerships with other top B schools for exchanges and dual degrees and industries, in particular the hospitality industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the healthcare, life sciences, then consulting firms. It has very strong partnerships. Coming to the point where where I actually give you some confidence based on the fact that yes, people like us who did graduate from BSMS have successfully started their career in management. These are snapshots of different LinkedIn profiles that I could find who were in IISER. So if you see someone from BSMS Mathematics 2019 graduate, he or she, I think they did IIM, the postgraduate program in management from IIM Indore, and currently are working as management associate. And someone to the next of it, this part, they have done their BSMS data statistics and are currently working as a data scientist at McKinsey. McKinsey is, one of those MBB consulting firms. So they are currently working as data scientists at McKinsey and Company in advanced manufacturing, pharmaceutical, and automotive sectors. So they are using whatever they learned in math and stats, such as statistical learning technique, regressions, NLP, deep learning, etc., in their day-to-day life in professional career. And someone who did their BSMS in bio, they're working in project management and sales roles after doing MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, graduated 3 years back, 4 years back. So yes, and something which is interesting, yeah. So 2014 graduate from IISER Pune in MS Physics, current and ISB degree, postgraduate program in management degree from ISB. Currently working in BCG is also another highlight. I mean, BCG is again at the top with McKinsey, BCG, and Bain and Company. So definitely really good profiles who have graduated from different fields like mathematics, biology, math and stat, then physics. Then you have chemistry, someone from chemistry who just graduated from XLRI Jamshedpur, and they're working in Marico. Yeah, another good question where someone asked why can't we move into management after PhD? Someone has already done that. So theoretical physicist who has a PhD from IISER Pune is currently working in the areas of quantitative finance and mathematical modeling and risk management, one of the most modern domains in management, and is working as a senior analyst at Ernst & Young. So that's also really innovative and very interesting. So yeah, someone who has done their BSMS in mathematics, graduated in 2017, and a CFA level 3 candidate, having passed the CFA, that is financial accounting. So it's basically like a finance specialization, level 2, having cleared level 2, and is currently working as an associate at Caspian in the financial modeling sector. He or she has not got a management degree, but they are currently working as an associate in the financial modeling sector directly after BSMS mathematics. So that's also great. So you don't need a management degree to start working, right? And coming to people who are Essec graduates, but who are IISER graduates, who are currently in abroad, B schools abroad. So I could find only 3 examples, apart from I think one other in ACP. But yes, so there are 4 or 5 people who are in foreign B schools after graduating from IISER. So this particular person, who is currently an assistant professor at National University of Singapore, has a very good profile. So he completed BSMS in applied math from IISER Pune, but also taking up interdisciplinary courses. And his master thesis was also very interesting. So after this, he went on to do a master's degree in tech and operations management at INSEAD, one of the world's leading business school, the world's number one business school for MBA is INSEAD. And he did a 2 years master's degree in tech and operations management, and post that he chose to continue it with a PhD in again tech and operations management. And after that, he has been working in National University of Singapore as assistant professor, which is very interesting because he directly jumped from IISER Pune to INSEAD, which is a very competitive school, because of course INSEAD is one of the very reputed business schools in the world. If anyone you talk to in the business world, INSEAD has a very good reputation. As the first business school in terms of in the rankings for MBA. Then you have another student here who did BSMS from Bhopal in physics, and currently pursuing the MS in DSB, that is Data Science and Business Analytics, which is a dual degree between Essec and Central Supélec, which is a very a technological based school in France, very reputed French school, not much known in other countries, but definitely in France as it's like the first school for data sciences and business analytics. Then my batchmate Srinivas, so he completed his MS in biology just last year, and then he's currently enrolled in the Global Circular Economy chair and is also a part of the Essec Life Sciences Association in the finance division, and wishes to continue in finance, in sustainable finance as part of the circular economy chair. And he's my batchmate here. So basically the summary is that there are people who have done it, there are people who are doing it, and it's definitely not difficult. I mean, it's hard, it's not impossible for you if you want to make the change, and if you really have what it takes, and if you really want to move ahead with it, build your skill sets, build your experience, build your learnings around it, and if you really want to do it, it's possible, and it's a very rewarding journey. So just to actually tell you how the skills that we gained at BSMS are important. So a study by McKinsey, every year they conduct this study to actually see what are the skills that people will need for the future, for the professional world of the future. So they have divided it into 4 parts. One is cognitive, interpersonal, digital, and self-leadership. So when you look at the cognitive part, the critical thinking, the structured problem solving, logical reasoning, understanding biases, seeking relevant information, all of this we have done as part of our MS thesis, or even before when we are doing our research internships, or during the courses for any assessment or something. Planning and ways of working, work plan development, and time management and prioritization. So these fundamental skill sets are also what we have gained during IISER, or are yet to gain for those who have just joined in IISER. Then communication, storytelling, and public speaking. That is one of the very important skills that we should take up, or we should develop over time, in order to be really good at communicating our views and presenting your views with respect to different audience, a varied audience, whether it may be board member, whether it is your colleague, or whether it is someone who's junior to you, etc. It's definitely one of the most important skill sets. And asking the right questions, active listening, creativity and imagination, and translating knowledge to different contexts, etc. All these adaptability and ability to learn, all these aspects are some we are really good at during IISER. So yes, definitely it's a feel good factor for you. So that yes, you should not be lost when you start thinking of, okay, do I have the requisite skill set or not to apply? No, we all have the skill sets. It's just that whether you are motivated enough to jump into it after calculating, of course. Don't just directly jump. So calculate, involve, like plan and develop your vision for yourself in the next 10 15 years. Also develop a vision for you in the next 4 5 years, so that you are very clear with the short term and long term goals. And all these other brackets, such as self leadership, digital, interpersonal, are something which you can gain by experience, some of which we already have, some of which we need to gain, and some of which are related to digital aspects, such as this experience working with digital tools, something you will learn over time. And there are a lot of certification courses, etc., on the internet, which will allow you to gain mastering this. And it's not like it's impossible. It's very much within reach for you. Conclusions, very important part. One is, yes, it's very self-explanatory, but yes, lack of prior knowledge should not be a barrier to enter the management domain, or translating it further in any other domain other than science, because the skills that you gain while you're at IISER are transferable even in the long term, as I just demonstrated. So they are definitely transferable. They are very important, although we don't realize at the time when we're doing. But it's very important that we know what are the skills that we gained, and communicate your story well. Learn to express your story well. Network, network, and network, and don't just network for the sake of getting some benefits from the other person. It's about you expressing your curiosity, your interest in learning what the other person has to say about their story, about their experiences of working, about their learning trajectory, and how you can take up those learnings and implement them in your life. And this is also an important conclusion. Don't let finances deter you from pursuing your goal, because there is always one way or the other where you can actually source your financing. But the the money that you invest in yourself, in the learning process, in actually changing or switching from this domain to that domain, but you have to be really convinced, and you have to make sure that you utilize this opportunity the most to make sure that you uh, to gain the most out of the whole process. And always, even when you're in a B school, like any B school, whether Indian or foreign, strike a balance between academics and extracurriculars, which is also very very important for you, because extracurriculars help you open new avenues, connect with more people, and they help you actually refine your vision, refine you as a person, and help you in the end, help you become a better professional. And I cannot stress this enough, and I think I have stressed this enough during the presentation as well, like 3 4 times. But yes, do it because you're genuinely interested in what you want to do and want to enjoy learning and applying management principles in a more formal sense. But this was just for management, but for any other domain, do it because you're genuinely interested. And after taking a thorough, critical approach to see whether it fits in your career goals, whether you actually fit in that career goal, in that path, and what is the path that you have to take in order to reach there, etc. All this you have to figure out first. And you're not alone. You can always talk to people who have done this, gain from their learn from their experiences, bring in those experiences for you, and put them and apply them in your life, in your path, so that you understand better, you refine it better, and be passionate about learning. Money will definitely eventually follow. To summarize, thank you so much everyone for being patient and patiently listening to me blabbering about stuff for quite a long time. I think think it's quite a lot of time. I'll be very happy to answer any questions. And this time, I would really encourage you to, even if you want to switch on your video, more than welcome. Switch on your video, turn on your audio, and then ask questions, because this is meant to be an interactive session, as mentioning Tejas and Nitish as well. So yes, thank you everyone. Okay, I see that there are a lot of questions. Okay, for pursuing PhD, which will be best, Indian or abroad colleges? I see. Okay, I think this is not really the focus of this meeting, but okay. PhD, again, I think you have to set up. You have to set out your priorities, which is really important, because you have to actually search for the different fields that you want to work in, talk to people here who are doing, or talk to PIs, try to set up a meeting with their group members, learn about their culture of working, whether it is an Indian school or abroad school. Try to learn more about their work culture. How does a mentor support you? How does a supervisor help you? All these things, all these factors are important, not just the subject or the field that you want to work in. The culture is also going to be important, because you're going to spend a significant amount of time in your prime years doing a PhD. So yes, better to be sure about all these things. Okay, Shruti is asking a question. What is the difference between an entrepreneurship school and B school, and how would the skill set provided by each of them differ? I'm sorry, Shruti, I'm sorry, I don't understand what is an entrepreneurship school and a B school. Can you, can you, can you give me, how do I say, can you try to elaborate further? Okay. Okay. So there is, as far as I know, I don't think there is a thing called entrepreneurship school. It's basically, you will get all the requisite skill sets, the courses about entrepreneurship, how to think about ideas, how to formalize them, how to concretize them by putting them into business plans and business models, and then pitching in front of investors for money. And all these aspects are taught in a B school with respect to an entrepreneurship specialization. So yes, it happens in a B school. And do all universities accept GRE, or there are other exams like TOEFL? Okay. So, Kaustav, to answer your questions, for PhD applications, there are some of the US universities, they're actually doing away with the GRE requirement because of various reasons. But TOEFL is, I think, compulsory, is mandatory for you to apply to US universities. And in some universities, they also give you a waiver, but it depends on which country are you applying to, and which of the which program are you applying to, or which school are you applying to. So there is no one size fits all approach for test scores, because each of the university has different rules, a different set of processes. So you have to check with respect to each school. Awesome. Okay. I don't see a lot of questions right now. Do you guys have any more questions?
You guys can unmute and ask.
Yeah. I think I did answer the first one. Anita, can you throw some light on consulting? I did that. I think there was also another question which I answered. I think Tejas asked me. Yeah. Okay. Then okay.
So here's the question from chemistry department. You can look at it, Aditya.
Sorry, Ishan? Okay.
The question is, as per your point of view, what are the various fields for the chemistry department?
Uh, okay. Various fields for chemistry department, as in like, do you want to know what is the kind of research that you do with respect to chemistry, or whether it's in the applied part of it? So, can you please elaborate a bit, Rajneesh? No, okay. Um, yeah, I mean, in terms of research, there is a lot of fantastic research happening in the basic sciences as well, in terms of organic chemistry, in terms of inorganic, and also in the physical. But more or less, right now there are a lot of frontiers where theoretical and computational chemistry tools are being used in order to guide reactions and guide mechanisms, guide our understanding of mechanisms. And that's a very emerging and a very important field, used in conjunction with experiments, whether be it in inorganic, physical, or organic chemistry. Then, in terms of the applied fields, you have a lot of developments in the um, biochemistry part of it for or peptidochemistry, with respect to vaccines, with respect to the different aspects in vaccine development or drug development, and all pharmacokinetics, pharmacodynamics, etc. All these involve a lot of chemistry. And you know also drug development is a very vast field, so you definitely have to know a very good amount of chemistry for continuing in drug development, biochemistry, biology, chemistry, all these, because drug development is a very interdisciplinary process, and where you have synergy between a lot of domains. And then uh, yeah, I think in the inorganic chemistry part of it, for the industrial division, in the industrial part, you have a lot of surfactants, you have a lot of coatings, you have paints, you have a lot of research going on in terms of these aspects. Like, you can check out Bayer and BASF, or the yeah BASF as a company, and Bayer. And in even in agricultural chemistry solutions, there is a lot of research going on. And yes, in specialty chemicals, there is by Merck, there is Thermo Fisher. There are different industries which are actually operating in the applied part of the research, especially in the chemistry department. Okay. Gauri is asking what are the various fields of the Bsms mathematics. Okay. I may not be the right person to answer this, uh, because as far as I know, and as far as I understand, mathematics can either have like the basic research in mathematics, and one is the applied or the quantitative side of it, the applied math. So my understanding is very limited with respect to the different fields in mathematics. But yes, feel free to contact your professors, uh, and try to understand what they do, uh, to in order to know more about the different fields because one field is if you actually learn applied math in BSMS, you can use that skill set to do a lot of things, such as in cryptography or in actuarial science or in data analysis, business analytics, etc. So there are a lot of aspects to it.
Hello.
Hello, yeah.
Yeah, so my question was that in our BSMS degree, we can do a major in one subject and also we can do a minor in another subject. So is doing a minor like helpful or beneficial in proceeding like further PhD program and stuff?
Um, okay. Which IISER do you come from, Kaustav?
Either Barampur.
Berhampur. Okay. I don't know if they have a major minor system, but especially, um, okay. So minors will help you, but honestly, I don't think there is one right answer there, because if you want to get into a PhD program in, let's say, in biochemistry, so you need to have very fair amount of knowledge in biology and chemistry. So either you have to major in one subject and take another one as minor. So it depends on the target field that you have and the field that you are interested in to do PhD down the line. So plan your curriculum accordingly, take courses accordingly during your 5 years in order to make sure that you have the necessary academic knowledge till you begin.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Hmm. Okay. I gave GRE and my GRE score was 322 of 340, and I started my prep in July last week, and I gave the exam on August 18th. So I prepared only for 3 weeks. I just looked at uh, the format of the exam and familiarized myself with the format. Tried a couple of practice sets given by ETS. Did that, then followed the uh, verbal part of the GRE was a bit tricky. So for that, I just followed the official GRE learning material for vocab and reading comprehension, and I practiced vocabulary with different online resources. That's all. Ideally, give yourself like if you are very serious about it, and if you have a lot of time to spare, then a month and a half should do for getting a decent score. Yeah, month and a half should be fine. Yeah, any more questions? Come on, guys, I expected more questions, but okay.
Do we have more questions, guys?
As far as I see, I don't see in the chat box at least. Is there something else on the YouTube?
No, no. Actually, I just checked. No.
Okay, awesome. Okay, then if you have more questions, I'm happy to answer.
So there is one, I think. Tanveer wants to answer.
Yeah,
Ask.
yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. He lowered his hand again.
Okay.
So I think, like, I guess people don't have more questions.
Yeah.
It was wonderful having you, Aditya, in this
Thank you so
session
much.
with Inventa. I hope like everyone had a similar and a good experience interacting with you. down the line, you guys can contact him on LinkedIn or email him anytime. You can reach out to us. We'll help you getting in touch with him.
Thank you so much, guys, for inviting, and thank you so much for having me over and allowing me to share my experience uh, with fellow BSMS students. And it was great talking to you all. And I hope the session was helpful. And as Tej just mentioned, please feel free to email me anytime or get in touch with me on LinkedIn. So I'll be very happy to assist you. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, sir. Go on.
Yeah, sir. This is Tanvir. So same guy who's got the call from IIM thing. So I
Oh,
was
yeah.
preparing for the interviews
Yeah.
of the IIMs, and so I just wanted to know that how do you answer why MBA as a chemist perspective, from the chemist perspective, as a chemistry student?
Okay, so that's an interesting question, which I was also asked in my interviews here. So basically, I was just very honest. I told them my story of how I actually entered, how I actually wanted to get into management, and just the career goals that I had, which I have mentioned in the abstract as well, that I'm passionate about making a difference in this and this industry by using a combination of these two. So I felt I had the requisite technical skills right now because of my extensive research experience, and also the academics, which are focused on drug development, etc. And I felt that now it's a good time to move to management so that I can gain a very strong foundation in management and apply what I have learned in these two fields in driving positive value for people in the pharmaceutical industry. I hope that
Okay,
answers
thank
the
you, sir.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. And please don't call me sir. I think a couple of years elder to you, but okay. Yeah, cool. Thank you, Rohan. Thank you so much for your kind words. I hope I am really glad you enjoyed these things. And yes, any more questions? If not, I'll be very happy to answer one question if there is any, or if not, we can. Okay.
Like the main reach out.
Email, or so that I'll be both the fronts and help you out. It was great talking to you guys. See you sometime soon. Have a good day or a good evening right now. So I'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you, Aditya.
No problem. Bye bye.
Bye.